Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another morning stretches. Who knew that we could do these things so close together at this point in our life? So please do come and say hello. And when you arrive, please also let me know that you can hear me. I had to tweak the audio part when I started, so I'm not sure whether you can hear me or not. So please say hello and where you're from and that all is working. So I had a bit of validation over the weekend and thank you, Nicole. Thanks so much for that. As you know, if you've been following me for a while, I have not been doing my morning stretches for most of this year. And probably a good chunk of last year, if I think about it. It hasn't been a regular. Hello, my favourite helicopter pilot and friend of Santa is here. Hello, Michael. So as I do, because I have a, what's the word I want to use? I have an issue with perfection and making sure that everything is right and all that sort of thing. And the energies of 2021 have nailed me as much as the next person. And so I guess if I was going to be completely honest, I've sat here and thought this year, like I know, as Ray has just said, the morning stretches were so well received and we had lots of fun doing those all of the time. And I just didn't have it in me because I had my own things to be working out. What am I supposed to be doing? The coronavirus stuff has got me in all of the places that have forced me to sit there and look at, that when you've heard me speak about that dark night of the soul that I had last year, all of those sorts of things. So anyway, on the weekend, I also look for patterns. I had two people in my life, one spiritual that does, allied spiritual work or healing work, and one who doesn't, say to me within a really short amount of time, is there something coming? Because it feels like the energies are getting weird. And then I felt it as well. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and watch the Leo King. And I haven't watched him for ages. And I used to watch him religiously because he also started saying, I think it was back in August or September of 2019, he was telling his followers there's a plague coming, and then in March of 2020, boom, there it is. So I thought I'll just go and see what he's saying about the energies, because he also talks about matching energies from times in the past, which helps me to sit there and say to people, how the 18-year thing is part of every year. So at the moment we're looking back at 2003 for do-overs or end of cycles, that sort of thing. So it's a part of trying to get the heads up about what's happening. Well, holy crap! I am a member of his High Vibe TV, because the show that he used to do on YouTube, he doesn't do there anymore. He does within his own app. And he wasn't pulling any punches when it came to the energy that's coming. So part of the plan with coming on and doing the morning stretches for you, the validation, which I'm finally there to tell you, that I got is the reason why I have not had the push to go and do morning stretches. And part of my dark night of the soul, if you like, with my work is, and the same thing in my groups. So I have my Evolved as Fuck group that gets the weekly energy session, and as soon as I finish doing this, I'll be going in and doing that session today. And then I also have the Tarot Tune-Up, which was a new venture for this year that had a bit of a hiccup, so I'm doing that one on my own now. But I've purposely not been interacting very much in those. I've not been researching everything and dumping all of the information, like even the stuff that I share into the Esoteric Solutions group for anyone that wants to follow the astrology. I've not been reading any of it. It's just part of the, this is the information and in it goes. Because I realized I had to stand on my own 2 feet with the information that came in. I had to understand what my body was telling me, what my intuition was telling me, looking at my own way of doing things. And the reason I share that is because that's what you need to be doing too. You need to be doing everything possible to be able to understand who you are, what makes you tick, what's important to you and what's not important to you. And it has to be outside of anybody else in your circle, and that includes anyone with children that are looking and putting themselves last in order to make sure that the children are okay. Me, as a hyper-vigilant, hyper-responsible, breaking the patterns person in a very long family tree of dysfunction, has even in the last week, I've taken my hands off the wheel because I cannot maintain the worry that I'm doing enough to ensure that all of the patterns are broken. Because what that meant, the worry was that I wasn't trusting God, source of the universe, to have my back. I wasn't trusting the process. I was trying to control things. And as you know, I've been very consistent in my life on this platform as a control freak. So that's why I haven't been on for very many times in the last 12 months. Because I'm very driven by the push. That's why I got the push to do this morning. It's because I've got to come in and share what opportunity you have for yourself right now. And that is to look at who you are, what's important to you, what's not important to you, what makes you tick, what makes you angry. You know, I have a program that I wrote called the Love Life Detox, and it was essentially positioned to help people to attract the love life that they wanted. But actually, it's a process to understand and love yourself. And in one of the weeks that we do this document that says, what would make me judge you? And it's that shadow work where you've got to go and have a look within yourself, where you look at other people and tick your box of, I don't want this, I don't want that. Oh, okay, you're a smoker. So it's like this relationship with judging, and I give people permission to do that because you have to understand your internal dialogue around how we do judge others in situations and things like that. You know, there is bad judgment, there's nasty judgment, and then there's judgment that you have in your life to help you find your path. So part of this energy that we're about to step into now, by all accounts, and I don't say this to frighten you, because if you know yourself, if you know who you are and what is important to you and what's not important to you and what makes you tick and why you're here, these next couple of months are going to be part of that thing you've heard me speak about, that large social experiment that I've been encouraging people to be on for nearly 2 years now. If you know who you are and you step away from what might be panning out in front of you, that allows you to stay present in where you are, and because you can control what's going on in your world right now. So I'm sitting here jammed in the corner of my house in my dining room because my office situation had to change last September, and I'm talking to you because I got the push this morning. It's time to do another morning stretches. And it's after a weekend of seeing the patterns that in an unorchestrated way came into my being to help me see what was going on or what's coming, because I felt that it's like rising, there's stuff shifting. We have the stuff in Afghanistan. I think there's another hurricane has just made landfall in Louisiana. We have political stuff going on in Australia here. We have the stories around the billionaires and what they're doing in the world, and this era of greed is coming to an end. This era of needing to be right is coming to the end. It's this era of doing things to be right and to be able to fit an agenda at the expense of others, of innocence. This era is coming to an end. And it's taking a while, but I truly believe, to the core of my being alive right now, we are the luckiest people because we are living through such a major shift in humanity. It's long, it's drawn out, it sucks crusty balls, but if you can sit in that notion of sitting there, get your popcorn and watch what's happening. If you can do that, you will make it through the energy of what's going on and how it's showing up. I'm not going to say for 1 second that it's easy. I do emotional trauma work for a living. I have done for 12 years now. I have been living the notion that emotions make you sick since I was 14. And this is bothering me. Life is it's causing me to go within so deeply and to recognize my limits and to recognize where my old stories are keeping me trapped in a way of being, because those old stories have kept me safe, but they've also kept me stuck in quite a big divot of control where all I've got to do is go, I don't think like that anymore. I don't choose that anymore. Having relationships break down, having people come in and out of your life rapidly. This is all part of the plan. This is all what we're going through. Now, to loop back into what I learned from the Leo King. He described earlier in the year, one of the early videos I watched for him in the year, he described 2021 as the lobby of the building that 2020 was. 2020 was the lobby of the 2021 building. And it's a tall building, essentially meaning that we haven't seen anything compared to what we saw in 2020, and 2020 took a great deal of things away. In one of my energy sessions, maybe a couple of months ago, I was shown why we have to isolate from everybody at the moment, why we have to stop watching media that's provoking hate and fear-mongering and all those sort of things. It's sort of pushing us into a space to get to know ourselves. We have to understand, if you're wired to sit and watch the doom and gloom every day, then you're wired for doom and gloom, and that's okay. 100%. If that's what you want or you need to live your life, then you should be allowed to do it. But if you're around people who don't want to hear it and you keep forcing it on people, don't be surprised if people say, I can't handle it at the moment. Or they start implementing boundaries and say, can you not talk to me about that? I don't want to know. We're being forced into these spaces and times where we have to focus just on ourselves. September and October, by all accounts, is going to be a bit nasty. The same terminology that Leo King was using in August, or I think it was August 2019, to say there was a plague coming in early 2020, is the same kind of language he was using yesterday when I watched his video from Thursday. Not that there's a plague coming, it's already here, but different things are coming that are going to have you sat back on your ass, and unless you've got your popcorn ready, it's going to feel catastrophic. Now, say for example, okay, I'll give you a good example. That feeling landed for me on Saturday. We have a minister here in Australia who is in charge of defence now, I believe. And he's not a nice politician. He's shown his hand, and racist comments that are blanketed with different things. He tried to have what's called a leadership spill 3 years ago, which put in place the Prime Minister that we have now. Now, our Prime Minister we have now is across the board incompetent. And if you look at his career history, his incompetence it follows him. He bothers me and he scares me, but everybody's onto him. Everybody, and it's in air quotes, everybody can see what he does and what he doesn't do. This other guy, he scares me because of his attitude towards other cultures, his attitude towards people who battle here in Australia. He scares me. This man just irritates me. This guy scares me. And on Twitter, there was a hashtag Libspill. And I looked at that, and then I saw an article that started to be shared in our media talking about this woman who is a trusted, or she's in the news all the time, said that she preferred that this other scary politician was our Prime Minister over the one that currently is. And it was so left field, I just had this moment of feeling sick because I'm like, here we go. This man's going to have another go at getting the Prime Minister's job. Now, he's the kind of person that if we had a red button, you wouldn't want him to be able to have access to that red button. He's that, for me, this is just an opinion, he's that scary. And even just talking about it now, my tummy I feel nauseated. And that's the energy that I want to share with you. It's like when you see and feel and you start to think, and all of a sudden it makes you sick, or all of a sudden you start getting headaches. And you've done all of the ticker box, that stuff I spoke to you about in the video on Friday about headaches. This is the sparks that allow you to see and recognize where you're shooting yourself too far into the future or catastrophizing about something that hasn't happened yet. So I did it to myself because I sat there and I looked and I thought, oh no, what would that mean? I was speculating. So that's the part that I want to impart in today's morning stretches. Take note of where your brain goes when you're given a small piece of information and it goes boom, because it will be the part that gives you the direction to allow you to see where you can come back to center. Joe's just said who you're talking about, Dutto and Morrison. So Dutto for me is the scary one. Morrison's the irritating one. The part that you can play in your own health and well-being going forward is associated to seeing where your brain takes you. Journaling is good. You know, there's all of these things that spiritual people or healers have been saying to do for eons. Write it down. There is science behind using your hand to write things and how it talks to the brain that can help with depression or neuro injuries or neuro issues. Handwriting, not this, it's actually handwriting, okay? So that will help you. Keep hydrated. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Many years ago, I did a session for a man who was a FIFO worker who was working in Kuwait, and his wife had reached out to me to say he's saying all of these really bad things. He doesn't want to live anymore and all that sort of stuff. And when I tuned into his energy, I said, and I did the session, I said, he's dehydrated. Has he had any water? There's like psychosis-inducing dehydration if you don't have enough water. So that's a a big extreme, but if you're not keeping your energy strong with hydration, things can't flow through you. Stay separate. Make sure you're not sitting with people who drain you. Now that's not telling you to walk away from all of these people. It's not it's just being discerning with your energy and where you put it. If social media does your head in, get off it. You know, one of my page numbers over the last 12 months have been dropping, and I've got people that I've followed on social media who are spiritual, intuitive people who are leaving Facebook in droves and going other places, and I've been watching. It's like, yeah, the energy is shifting. It's it's time to shift. The way we've been living for the last, actually that's another number that he brought up. 2012 was, he said, is breaking down the matrix. So go back to 2012 and have a think about what changes you made in your life in 2012, because this is the end of that era. It's either time to step up and launch, or it's time to look at everything and pivot and go a different way. So it's part and parcel of the times we're living in. But if you hear nothing else that I say today, or if you've come in late or anything like that, the energies of the next couple of months look like they're going to be extreme. Be discerning with where you put your energy, and don't panic. Don't panic when life starts to show, because this is all the nutting out of what needs to happen so that we can see what works and what doesn't at every level of life. And the one that you can focus on the most is yours. So keep doing it. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. I'm saying out aloud that I'm going to try and do one of these every Monday morning. I'm not promising every day, because the exhaustion levels and things for me, the dreams that I'm having at night time at the moment, I'm waking up tired because they're just non-stop. So I'm going to try and come every Monday morning. We'll do a Monday morning stretches, and we'll see how we go. Thanks for joining me. I will go and answer any questions or comments in the comments after I've signed off. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.